All right, we'll go ahead and start our availabilities this morning at Martinsville Speedway. We are now joined by Brian Scott, driver of the number 44 American Red Cross Ford, and Jason Goodjunas from the American Red Cross Western North Carolina region. Brian, coming off a career best runner-up finish at Talladega, you're running the American Red Cross Ford this weekend at Martinsville. Talk about teaming up with the American Red Cross to support victims of Hurricane Matthew this weekend.
Well, it's a tremendous honor to be able to represent American Red Cross this weekend. I think that a lot of people feel like the devastation and destruction that Hurricane Matthew did is done and over with, but the American Red Cross is here to remind us that even though the storm has passed, all the work really starts now. And American Red Cross is on the front line providing shelter, food, cleanup relief. There is so much damage and devastation that happened in the Eastern Carolinas, into Virginia, the whole East Coast, kind of in our neck of the woods for NASCAR and racing, is still dealing with a lot. And the American Red Cross is there to help, and we encourage everybody to help out. You can go online and follow the links on Richard Petty Motorsports website. You can go to American Red Cross and you can donate, or you can simply text Matthew to 90999 and do a $10 donation from your phone. Talladega was a great finish, but we're looking forward to Martinsville this weekend and representing the Red Cross.
Great. And then, Jason, you're here representing the American Red Cross. Talk about teaming up with Richard Petty Motorsports this weekend.
Well, it's a great honor to have Richard Petty Motorsports and Brian Scott as a fan of as fans of Red Cross. Like Brian said, the response has happened and recovery is just beginning for a lot of folks. We're still sheltering hundreds of people. There's still thousands of people that need our help. Disasters like this don't go away when media coverage goes away or when the storm goes away. So many folks are beginning their recovery plans and continuing the recovery plans with Red Cross. Brian mentioned that we have shelters. We still have folks in our shelters. We're giving out blankets, relief items. We've already served 1.3 million meals. There's been over 100,000 overnight shelter stays, which is more than all of Hurricane Sandy combined. So this is a real a bigger response than anybody anticipated, and a lot of great folks support us immediately following these disasters. It's weeks after the disaster, almost 3 weeks after this disaster, and we're still out there helping people with recovery efforts, and we really appreciate Richard Petty Motorsports and Brian Scott helping with lending a microphone to get the word out that there's still a need for recovery, and there's still reason to support. So richardpettymotorsports.com is a great way to do that. Go to richardpettymotorsports.com, click on the Red Cross icon, or you could text Matthew to 90999, and that'll be a $10 donation to the Red Cross to help us with our recovery efforts.
All right, and with that, we'll go ahead and open it up to questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll start all the way in the back with Greg.
Hi, Brian. Greg Engel, CupScene.com. You're full-time now in the Sprint Cup Series, and that's awesome. Last year when you weren't, did you have a chance to watch any Cup races on TV? And as a driver, what's that experience like? And I'm kind of doing a thing about fans watching at home. Is there anything you think that you could add that would enhance that experience, or based on your experience as a driver and a viewer?
Yeah, that's a great question. As a driver, we're always trying to refine our craft of driving race cars and executing races to the best of our ability. And I think watching the races, whether we're in Sprint Cup and watching the Xfinity races, or we're in the Xfinity Series and we're watching the Sprint Cup races, there are always things to be learned by watching and paying attention, listening to the announcers, seeing what other drivers are fighting, seeing what other drivers are doing and how they move around the racetrack. We're constantly learning and trying to improve our craft of driving race cars and executing races.
All right, additional questions? Start up front with Jeff, right here.
Just wondering what the fallout was from your finish last week. Have you gotten a lot of positive reaction, and what's the week been like for you after that?
Well, thanks, Jeff. It's been a great week at Richard Petty Motorsports. I'll tell you the best part about our second place finish at Talladega on Sunday was showing up to the shop on Monday and seeing all the guys that don't travel to the racetrack and seeing all the people that go into Richard Petty Motorsports, and from guys in the fab shop and the chassis shop and the body shop and the throughout all of Richard Petty Motorsports, just seeing how uplifted that they were from 2 cars that finished in the top 10, and just excited about kind of attacking these final races this year to try to end this season on a good note.
All right, we'll go to Chris Knight.
Chris Knight, catchfence.com. Brian, can you talk about Martinsville? Is it one of your favorite places to run? Obviously, don't have a lot of Cup experience here, but you do have some truck experience here. And then, do you have any? What do you think about the announcement this week about the Cup guys being limited in trucks and Xfinity?
I love Martinsville Speedway. I was lucky and fortunate to race here in the Camping World Truck Series a number of times, and it was one of my favorite short tracks that we came to. I've only raced here once in the Sprint Cup Series, and that was this spring, and it was a challenging race, but a lot of races were challenging at the beginning of this year. We were a new team. I was working on a new relationship with my crew chief, Chris Heroy. We were still trying to figure everything out, figure these cars out, figure out a lot of things, and we've become a lot better team since then. So I'm looking forward to coming to Martinsville with a previous notebook, with a lot better understanding of these cars and a lot better chemistry as a team. Your last question about the Sprint Cup guys being limited in Xfinity and Camping World Trucks, I think that's great. I think that's what the series needs to build names and to give drivers opportunities and experience at winning races and getting into victory lane. I guess on a selfish level, I wish that they would have done that 5 years ago when I was competing in those series, because I'd probably have a lot more wins. But I think it's great. I'm excited to watch the young up-and-coming drivers get more experience at winning and get into victory lane and making names for themselves to ultimately pursue their dreams of probably racing in the Sprint Cup just like I did.
Final questions for Brian or Jason? All right, thanks for joining us, and good luck this weekend.
Thanks, guys.